if I look dusty and dirty. I finished work. It was hot and sweaty. But I was listening to 2 Kings because a lot of people are curious as to the difference between the tribe of Judah or the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom. So Judah was Benjamin the Jews, or the southern kingdom was Benjamin and Judah joined together. And then there was Naphtali and Asher and Gad and Reuben, and all those other guys were the 10 tribes of the north. But I'm listening to 2 Kings chapter 17 to the end of the book today. And as I'm getting closer to the end of the book, and I'd like everybody to notice this, there's a story that goes on there where they're smashing down the altars of all the those who are following after Baal and Ashtaroth. And I sent one, I think it was a lady, asking something about Nimrod. And Nimrod has many, many different names. So in each different, it even explains to you in 2 Kings, not that we're all going to catch on to this, but it was listing the Moabites and the Amorites, and all these different people had their different kind of type Baal, okay? And they'd worship the Ashtaroth, which is the Christmas tree, okay? Like, it just blows my mind that the church doesn't know. How come some knucklehead in Alberta, Canada, knows this stuff, and none of the pastors are and that's not true, honestly. Well, they're not reflecting on what it is. God had me one time that when it was the same week, and it was Christmas 2016. This is a true story. He spoke to me after he said, "Mark, what's the Christmas tree all about?" I investigated it, and I got that thing out of my house faster than 2 Kings 17 happened. Okay? After that, he told me to go to this church. I went to the church. The pastor starts making jokes about the Christmas tree still being up in the kids' houses as he's dismissing the kids for junior church. Then he goes on to start preaching about Deuteronomy chapter 16, about not having an Ashtaroth pole in the house at all, or in the near God's altar. And I'm like sitting there with my jaw dropped open because of what just happened to me the week before, and God telling me to get rid of this thing, because I didn't even know what an Ashtaroth pole was until this pastor taught me. And then I'm like God used that to open my eyes. 2 other times after that, God sent me to a church, different churches, and each time they were preaching against pagan idolatry within Israel, and yet they were doing it themselves. Another time was actually on Valentine's Day, if you can believe this or not. This is how come I do what I do, because God has been in my life doing this through me for a very long time now. And anyways, so in 2 Kings chapter 17 is where it's not the first place it's mentioned, because God prophesied this in Leviticus 26 and throughout Deuteronomy as well, because Deuteronomy is the second instruction to us. It's to me and you, okay? Deuteronomy is the second instruction, the second Torah. It's like the New Testament of the first 5 books of Moses. It's speaking in a pretense for the future, if that's the right way to say it. It's foreshadowing when we return to the land. Okay, it's talking in the context that they're already going to be booted out. They're going to go astray, and it even tells you. I know a lot of people aren't going to like this, but here's in the Torah movement. But the northern tribes of Israel were told, "Do not do the feasts until you receive your inheritance." 9 times God says it between Deuteronomy 12 and Deuteronomy 16 when He puts His name in a city. Now listen to this. In 2 Kings you will even see what I just said in 2 Kings as well. Now, Judah has returned to their inheritance. But I'm telling you right now, the last bit of 2 Kings is talking about Judah getting booted out as well. And the whole thing that, I can't remember what the king's name is. I think it's, I'm not even going to try because there's just too many kings in there that I can't remember. I might mess it up. So you can read it yourself. He was tearing down all the altars of these pagan gods. Okay? Now, I really want you guys to know this. Finally, I'm not beating up on the church in the Northern Kingdom. Okay? I'm going to start beating up on Judah. Because I'll tell you right now, when you read 2 Kings after what we, the Northern Kingdom of Israel, did, Judah, you are whoring with the beast in Jerusalem right now, and you are putting up the Ashtaroth pole. You got all these Christian pagan churches. I'm sorry to say that if it bothers you, but all these idols. You go up the streets of Jerusalem right now, you can buy crucifixes and everything. It even tells you in 2 Kings 17 to the end of the book that they started worshiping the pole that the snake was on. And Christ refers to that pole with the snake on it as to a foreshadowing of what's going to happen to him. And that's exactly what the church is doing. They're worshiping that stick that Christ was hung up on. It says no graven image whatsoever. Don't even, you remember that movie about Johnny Cash and what's his name there? I don't know the actor, but he was playing Jerry Lee Lewis. And he says, don't eat the apple, don't think about eating the apple, don't sing songs about thinking about eating the apple. Don't even come close to do. You have no liberty to even put your toenail over that line that God said don't do. And the church has no regard whatsoever for the covenant. Okay? Absolutely nothing. They just don't care. And they don't realize that they're becoming more and more worldly. That's why all the men in the church are watching pornography. That's why there's divorce like crazy. You know what a pastor said to me? The reason why the divorce rate is so high in the church is because people converted after they were divorced. Bull. That's garbage. That's an excuse. The same pastor says to me, well, if what once was will happen again, then Jesus is going to die again. And I looked at him and I said, who do you think the two witnesses are? For the testimony of Yeshua is the spirit of prophecy. These guys in the church, and you just think, when they're that dumb and say things like that, and they're leading all these people right to hell. They're making their students twice, Christ says, twice the children of hell. There's one guy, I told him to move on Twitter today because he's so dumb in the apostate dispensationalism church. But anyways, what is wrong with people? Do they, they really don't believe in God. They believe nothing's going to happen to them.